Well, how's it going, everyone, and welcome back to Cobra Kai Studios. And in this video, we're going to go over part 1 of some Easter eggs. I say part 1 because there's a lot of Easter eggs in this show, and I don't know that I'll be able to get to all of them within this video. So, let's go ahead and start where most people know. This is like the main Easter egg because, let's be honest, it's the beginning of the show. Where do we see Johnny finish off in The Karate Kid, and where do we see him start in Cobra Kai? Face down. And it's almost an exact replica image of how he was laying on the mat. That one's I kind of thought so too when I very first watched this show. Very first time I watched it. It's the first thing that popped in my head too, was like, isn't that where he was laying in The Karate Kid? And sure enough, that really is an Easter egg that, you know, they wanted to naturally show him in the same way that he had been defeated in The Karate Kid. Big differences, though, from that into this. On to the second Easter egg. They're back in the Valley. California's San Fernando Valley is an important part of The Karate Kid. And why not bring it into Cobra Kai as well? Yeah, they did film in Georgia, but they still brought it to the show regardless, which is very interesting. That one actually was an Easter egg that I found online. I didn't actually catch that one right away. Not sure why. It just flew over my head, I guess. And then also, Easter egg number 3. When Miyagi taught Daniel how to care for bonsai trees in Karate Kid, chances are he didn't expect them to be used as gifts. That's true, though. I always kind of wondered that. And of course, you know, him and Miyagi tried to do the whole bonsai store, which Amanda talks about, and he's like, yeah, never again. I always thought that was funny. But then again, he sure still has a lot of bonsais. You can tell the bonsais are a big deal with him. If you've never grown a bonsai, they're kind of peaceful to grow, but sometimes they're a little stressful because they take forever to grow. I have a few of them myself that I've had for like 8 years now. In episode 1, while footage from the original Karate Kid is used throughout Cobra Kai, this blending of the movies and show put Johnny right back in the moment his former sensei turned on him. Interesting enough that is a reminder of his leaving Cobra Kai, and then of course he restarts it. So yeah, there's a lot of hints to all of the Karate Kids, actually, not just Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3, but mainly Karate Kid 1, because, you know, that's when Johnny was in, and of course the show starts out with Johnny, honestly. It doesn't really even start out with Daniel Russo, it starts out with Johnny as the main incentive of the show. Another Easter egg in episode 1, and all these Easter eggs are going to be on season 1. The next video will be season 2, and then there's going to be a third video, which are Easter eggs that most people online didn't find, which ain't very many, but there's a couple in there that I haven't seen nobody really talk about. Now, they might not even be fully Easter eggs, but to me, they relate to a couple of the Karate Kids, so I would consider them an Easter egg nonetheless. The 3 rules that Johnny puts on his wall. You know, the strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Of course, he's got to bring that back into play, and he does so, obviously. Although it kind of tends to turn on him once Kreese takes over, I would say, wouldn't you? Cobra Kai is back. While the dojo may have different locations and design, though, the original makes an appearance later on, and that I thought was interesting when they did a little flashback to Johnny as a kid, and they pretty much recreated that, as well as they used audio from the original movie to add into there. Another thing I noticed in this show is that they add certain scenes that were never actually in the Karate Kid. They were deleted scenes, or they wasn't used in the Karate Kid, which I thought was really amazing. I thought that was really cool that they actually did that. Another thing we see them do is, which would be another Easter egg, is a glimpse of Mr. Miyagi. They do flashbacks, not really flashbacks, but they do glimpses of Mr. Miyagi in a lot of ways. Obviously, we see his grave, we see pictures of him, thanks to Daniel's son. And they always want to just kind of reflect back to Mr. Miyagi, including that in episode 5, that episode's kind of dedicated to him in a sense. And they also, you know, at the end, say, you know, the condolences to Pat Morita. But, you know, it's just kind of interesting, though. It really sucks that he passed away, because Mr. Miyagi would have added a hell of an interesting character to the show. But, and we'll throw this Easter egg in, the whole fisherman at the ocean fishing, I feel like that was a huge Easter egg to Mr. Miyagi. I know a lot of people would have to agree on that. Just he speaks wisdom to Daniel, that he's even like, you know, you're a lot more like my friend than I thought. And, well, he really is, Washing windows means nothing in Cobra Kai. Unlike with Daniel-san's training to Robbie, where he teaches them to wax on, wax off. When Miguel asks Sensei Lawrence, a.k.a. Johnny, how should I wash the windows? He's like, I don't care. So, obviously, it doesn't matter to him. He's just like, just do it. I thought that was funny. Another Easter egg, which I noticed right away when I first saw it, was the costume that Miguel wears, which just so happens to be the costume Johnny wore 35 years ago. That was obviously a huge Easter egg to throw back into the Karate Kid, which I thought was kind of cool. It really was. I mean, it's not the best costume in my opinion, but it brought back some realism to the connection between Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid. Of course, this one. We all missed Allie. Yes, there's only about a matter of time before we see Allie in some way, even if it's just flashbacks, little bitty clips here and there. But I mean, there's bound to be a chance that we'll see Allie. I don't know that she's going to play a huge role like a lot of people think, but nonetheless, we might see her. There is actually a picture of her in the trophy case in the high school. Kind of weird, isn't it? Kind of weird. Makes you wonder. She's obviously got to be there for some reason. These creators don't put things in there for nothing. Miguel's new threads. You can only learn karate in your street clothes for so long. Johnny passing on his training gi from the Karate Kid to Miguel proves he's the star pupil. Well, the only pupil at this point. Yeah, that was funny. He was really the only pupil, though. That was kind of another Easter egg, though, is that Daniel was Miyagi's only student, and for a good little bit there, Miguel was Johnny's only student, just as Robbie was Daniel's only student. Just not for long, but for a little bit, they kind of had the center of attention between those two, honestly. I thought that was kind of great. It kind of led to some things. Another Easter egg, which I kind of figured was an Easter egg, was the student catches up with his teacher, and that's episode 5, as I mentioned a second ago, where Daniel just kind of gets a chance to speak with Mr. Miyagi again. Shows that he really sees him as like a father figure. Of course, he's not alive anymore, but it doesn't mean he can't go and communicate with him and kind of still have a connection with him nonetheless. The return of Miyagi-Do in episode 5. Daniel wearing the familiar headband. That was amazing when I seen him put the old school headband on, which we all know from the Karate Kid. Although I gotta say, it looks a lot different on him now compared to 35 years ago. It really does. But hey, still looks badass in my opinion. Still does. What do you think? You think it still looks badass? The old Karate Kid. I don't know. It's interesting, though. Johnny leading the class once again. I thought that was kind of cool. They kind of throw the flashback when he has all of his students and he's kind of in the front of the class. It's kind of like when he was leading the class for Kreese back in the movie. But this time, though, he's not the student. He's the sensei. At least until Kreese decides to come be an ass and take his stuff again, huh? And then, of course, we see the reflect to Miyagi's teaching to Daniel by Daniel teaching Robbie the classics of wax on, wax off. And then, of course, you even see Robbie get frustrated and is like, what the hell is this even doing? I'm not going to say the cuss word he says because I'm trying to keep it not so cussing. But, that would be irritating if you didn't know that those were actually trainings and you were just sitting there like, why are you teaching me this? Why are you making me just do your chores? And then he shows them and he's like, oh, well, never mind. But it's also funny though because that is the only student that Daniel has for a minute is just Johnny. But at the same point, it was the same thing with Daniel and Miyagi in the first Karate Kid as well. Another thing that I noticed right away when I watched it was that the All Valley tournament in the magazine, the ad in the magazine is the exact ad from the Karate Kid. It's just they changed the color of the mats and they changed the date, obviously. But it really is. If you go back and look, it's the same thing. Shape the Tree. The 7th episode of Cobra Kai is a treasure trove of throwbacks to the original film. It's the quiet moment when Daniel teaches Robbie how to trim a bonsai that he seems most like his former sensei. And I do agree with that. The way he kind of starts training Robbie to, basically in the same way that Miyagi trained him. It kind of gives him a Mr. Miyagi type style of vibe going on there. Golf and Stuff lives. Miguel's first date with Samantha was as cheesy and fun as Daniel's outing with Allie back in the Karate Kid. And I thought that was kind of cool that they brought that golf and stuff back and kind of put Miguel in Daniel's seat in a sense for that episode. At least that's how I kind of feel about that. A flashback to the tournament that started it all. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of pictures and scenes and throwback clips to the original Karate Kid fight in the All Valley tournament with Johnny and Daniel, which I thought was pretty cool. It really made it pretty badass, honestly. Cobra in red. While this obviously isn't the same jacket Johnny wore in the movie, it's clear that this Cobra's sense of style has never really changed. It's also awesome that Miguel ends up wearing his original jacket. I thought that was kind of cool. I also think this is another interesting Easter egg when they bring back Daniel's mother. You know, I thought that was really cool that she reprised her role as Lucille and kind of just still a part of the show, you know. I'm sure if you were like me, I didn't expect her to actually be a part of the show, but it's kind of interesting. Her and Amanda's little conflict that they have is kind of funny. Kind of shows Amanda's kind of annoying to some people. It's not a boat, but this will do the trick. As Daniel continues his lessons with Robbie, they resemble Miyagi's teachings more and more. While he notes that the lake he and Mr. Miyagi trained on is no longer an option, the two of them practice on a large rock created in a similar visual type style, which I thought was really great that they brought that back in their own way, because obviously they couldn't do the exact, you know, scenes that they wanted to, the way it seems anyways, but at the same time they still brought it in their own way, which I thought was really amazing. Some rivalries never die. Very true. And I know you know what I'm talking about. Daniel and Johnny. They've had a hell of a long rivalry. That's a long time to be rivals. It makes you wonder how many times they've had conflict in between Karate Kid ending and Cobra Kai starting. I'm sure there's a lot of stories that they could tell. I wonder if we'll get any in the future. I thought this was also an amazing Easter egg when they go and revisit the apartments that Daniel and his mother actually moved to in the Karate Kid. I thought that was really badass. That was interesting. Obviously, it's a lot more fixed up. For one, the pool actually has water in it. There's a lot of different things that we didn't actually see, but it was also cool to kind of see them take it back to that. Another Easter egg is hitting the beach. What's the Karate Kid universe without a beach party? Unlike the one Johnny crashed in the movie, though, this one mostly goes off without a hitch. Yeah, kind of, but at the same time, it created some really interesting conflicts that were to play out later in the show, which I thought was different. Facebook stalking your ex is cool, right? Johnny and Daniel's trip down memory lane when they kind of search up Allie. The first, real, I think, clue and Easter egg that we might see Allie was this episode, just because of the fact that they both search her up and they kind of talk about her, and you know, this is something that a lot of people expect. A lot of people have some crazy theories out there of what Allie's going to be doing as part of her role moving forward in the show, if she is to show up. And then there's a lot of people that don't think she's going to show up at all, which maybe not. You know, they might not actually add her to the show. It might just be some little Easter eggs they wanted to throw back to kind of play into the show, but not exactly for her. The final countdown. Some things never change, like the signage on the community center. The All Valley Sports Arena looks incredibly dated. It really does, though, doesn't it? It looks like it's from the 80s. So I thought that was kind of an interesting Easter egg, too, because there's a lot of things that they tried to throw in here and keep in here that really tie back to the original Karate Kid, which why wouldn't they? I mean, this is where the whole Cobra Kai started, and it's where the creator of the show got the inspiration to really make this badass sequel to the shows, basically, to the movies, because there's been a couple of reboots and other things that they've tried to do that just wasn't done correctly. It was done so poorly, and they didn't really capture the audience in a way that they should have. But in this one, they did. In Cobra Kai, boy, they've really captured many people's minds and really brought us back to the original Karate Kid in a lot of ways, and I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. This is a little awkward. While Daniel probably loves seeing his picture of himself on display, this big is a little bit strange that the tournament had a poster printed out of a moment from over 3 decades ago. I kind of thought so too. It's like almost as if they took a break between the Karate Kid ending in Cobra Kai, even though they say this is the 50th one. It's like, what happened? Why is it out of nowhere? Or is he up? Is that poster of Daniel up every year? Maybe they're just really a big fan of Daniel. The yellow and black attack in Cobra Kai. It's going to fight in the tournament. They're going to look badass doing it. The classic sleeveless black and yellow gi makes a return in this episode, with its own new classic Cobra Kai sharpness, which I thought was really cool. I really like their gis that they wear in this fight. I think it really brings a, what would you call it, like a signature look to the Cobra Kai. And then, of course, you see another throwback, which anybody who watched the Karate Kid knows this is a Easter egg throwback, and that was when Miguel does the crane kick, which is the imitation of Daniel's kick that he beat Johnny with. And then, of course, we see in that same fight, we see something that's very similar to the original fight in the Karate Kid, which was Hawk, doing the cheap shot to Robbie, which just like Bobby in the Karate Kid when he does that to Daniel and gets disqualified. It's pretty much the same thing. And of course, that injury ends up playing a role into the later of the fight. Kreese is always watching. This is something I've been talking about too in our little fan question videos, that I almost feel like he's been watching since the beginning in the background. Before the final fight between Miguel and Robbie, Johnny is at odds with himself. After all, he's the star student and is about to fight his son. Walking the hallways of the sports arena, seeing his old sensei's photo on the wall certainly doesn't help matters, though it does give Johnny a glimpse at who he's turning into, which is very true. And then come the end of season 2, it's like, I think Johnny's realized the changes he's made and who he's actually become as far as a sensei. And then, of course, he isn't a sensei no more, at least not right at this moment. The trick doesn't always work. While Miyagi was able to cure what was ailing Daniel with his heat from rubbing his hands together, I thought that was an interesting little Easter egg too, where Daniel's like, medic! I thought he was going to try to do the same thing that Miyagi did to him, but it didn't work that way. He's like, nope. The student has become the teachers. Yep, that's 100% Easter egg, where Daniel and Johnny are actually the teachers now. They're the senseis of this show. Although we don't see Daniel become one right away, we do see him become one. And then now, come the end of season 2, the only one we see as an actual for sure sensei anymore is Kreese, because Daniel's going to Okinawa, Johnny's going to I don't know where the hell he's going. So it's kind of interesting. The final fight is Cobra Kai versus Miyagi-Do. Nothing has changed except the color of the mats. Even the scoreboard is the same. I thought so. The scoreboard looks exactly almost identical to the one we see in the Karate Kid. So I thought that was another interesting little playback that they keep. Of course, you hear them talk about changing the mats, that they've been red forever and it's time for a change before they actually get to the All Valley thing, which I thought was kind of interesting. Doing things their own way. So I thought that was kind of cool. The new crane kick, I thought that was kind of interesting too, that they added Robbie doing the double-footed kick, which was really badass, honestly. But the only thing that's different there is Miguel wins. Robbie didn't win the fight, which I thought was kind of crazy. But at the same time, I guess it was to be expected. Miguel kind of seemed to be the star pupil. He was the new Daniel in a sense. Sweep the shoulder, just like when Johnny swept Daniel's leg, Miguel targeted Robbie's injured shoulder to get advantage of its competition, which I also seen that as like a throwback to the original, where they're taking out the opponent's weaknesses. They're getting the upper hand. This looks wrong. In the end, the result wasn't that Karate Kid prepared audiences for the Cobra Kai ruthless ways won the trophy, but leaving Robbie defeated and Miguel and his crew standing tall. Yeah, I can kind of see that, and in the end, Robbie didn't win. So, that was a little bit different than how we seen it play out in the Karate Kid. But then again, like I said, though, Miguel was kind of the new Daniel, so it was kind of focused on Miguel versus Robbie. Robbie has his place in the show, but at the same time, Miguel is kind of, in my opinion, the new Daniel as far as being trained and how everything went. He's just being trained by Johnny, not Daniel. Then, of course, the biggest thing that everybody from season 1 knows was Kreese. Everybody thought he was dead. Even Johnny mentions earlier in the season that he's dead. Johnny clearly said that John Kreese was dead earlier in the season, so it's like, That's simply not the case, though. In the final moments of season 1, we see the former Cobra Kai sensei make his grand return. puffing on a cigar and telling a student that the story is just beginning. So what do you think? Obviously, these are known Easter eggs. These are Easter eggs that you could go and look up yourself online. They're not that hard to find. In fact, I'm pretty sure most of you know most of these Easter eggs, but I still want to, make different content that I haven't personally made yet. So this is going to be my Easter egg video, part 1. There's going to be a couple more to come, including part 2, which will be more Easter eggs that we know about. And then part 3 is going to be Easter eggs that I feel like I discovered that I haven't seen nobody really talk about. As well as some Easter eggs that other YouTubers have talked about that have not really been mentioned online. They're more newer Easter eggs. So yeah, just wanted to kind of come on here and enjoy making these videos. So hope y'all enjoyed. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Bonsai Kai Dojo. I want to thank all of you that are following and subscribing me and commenting on my videos and liking the videos. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget, stay badass, everyone.